1. Neanderthal family recipes. How two neighboring caves butchered prey differently. 2. Neanderthal cooking. Unique butchery techniques revealed. 1. Neanderthal family recipes. How two neighboring caves butchered prey differently. Did Neanderthals have their own unique culinary traditions? A fascinating new study reveals that two groups of Neanderthals, residing in the Amud and Kebara caves in northern Israel, exhibited remarkably different butchering techniques, despite their close proximity and access to similar tools and resources. This intriguing finding suggests that these ancient humans may have been passing down distinct food preparation methods through generations. Anuel Jalan, a PhD candidate at the Hebrew University of Jerusalem and the lead author of the study, states, "The subtle differences in cut mark patterns between Amud and Kebara may reflect local traditions of animal carcass processing." This indicates that even though both groups faced similar living conditions and challenges, they developed unique butchery strategies, likely influenced by social learning and cultural practices. Jalan elaborates, these two sites provide a unique opportunity to investigate whether Neanderthal butchery techniques were standardized. If variations in butchery practices existed between different locations or time periods, it would suggest that cultural traditions, cooking preferences, or social organization played a role in subsistence activities like butchering. The Amud and Kebara caves are situated just 70 kilometers apart and were occupied by Neanderthals during the winters between 50,000 and 60,000 years ago. Archaeological findings from both sites include burials, stone tools, hearths, and remnants of food. While both groups relied on similar prey, primarily gazelles and fallow deer, notable differences emerged. For instance, the Neanderthals at Kebara appear to have hunted larger animals more frequently and transported these larger kills back to their cave for butchering, rather than processing them at the kill site. At Amud, a striking 40% of the animal bones discovered were burned, with many being fragmented. This could be attributed to intentional cooking or accidental damage. In contrast, only 9% of the bones at Kebara were burned, and they were less fragmented, suggesting they were cooked. Additionally, the bones from Amud showed less evidence of damage from carnivores compared to those from Kebara. To delve deeper into the differences in food preparation between the two sites, researchers analyzed a sample of cut-marked bones from the same time period at both locations. They examined these bones both macroscopically and microscopically, documenting the characteristics of the cut marks. If the cut mark patterns were similar, it would imply uniform butchery practices. However, distinct patterns could indicate varying cultural traditions. The cut marks were well preserved and largely unaffected by later damage, allowing for a clear analysis. While the profiles, angles, and widths of the cuts were similar, likely due to the use of comparable tools, the cut marks at Amud were denser and less linear than those at Kebara. The researchers explored several potential explanations for these differences. It could be that the Neanderthals at Amud had a different approach to meat preparation prior to butchering, perhaps drying or allowing the meat to decompose, similar to modern butchers, who hang meat before cooking. This could explain the more intense and less linear cut marks. Alternatively, variations in group organization, such as the number of butchers involved in processing a kill, might have influenced the butchering techniques of the two communities. However, further research is necessary to fully understand these possibilities. Jalan notes, there are some limitations to consider. The bone fragments are sometimes too small to provide a complete picture of the butchery marks left on the carcass. While we have made efforts to correct for biases caused by fragmentation, this may limit our ability to fully interpret the data. Future studies, including more experimental work and comparative analyses, will be crucial for addressing these uncertainties, and perhaps one day reconstructing Neanderthals' recipes. This study opens up exciting avenues for understanding the cultural practices of Neanderthals. What do you think about the idea of Neanderthals having their own food traditions? Could this change the way we view their social structures? Share your thoughts in the comments. 2. Neanderthal cooking. Unique butchery techniques revealed. Imagine stepping into a prehistoric kitchen, rife with heated debates over the best way to slice an onion. But here's where it gets controversial. New research reveals that even Neanderthals had very distinct culinary techniques. Archaeologists examining animal bones from 2 separate caves in northern Israel have discovered that different bands of Neanderthals, living concurrently, employed unique butchery methods on identical animal species. Anuel Jalan from the Hebrew University of Jerusalem, the lead author of the study, explains, this means that within the broader Neanderthal community, there were several subgroups each with their own distinctive methods, even for crucial survival tasks. Such findings underscore that these ancient people were not a uniform group, but rather a collection of distinct cultural practices, similar to the variety we see in human traditions today. Published in the journal Frontiers in Environmental Archaeology, this study involved a meticulous examination of cut marks on 249 bone fragments from a mud cave, dating from about 70,000 to 50,000 years ago, and 95 bone fragments from Kebara cave, dating between 60,000 and 50,000 years ago. Both caves, roughly 70 kilometers apart and occupied by Neanderthals during winter, reveal evidence that these groups used similar flint tools, but diverged significantly in their meat processing techniques. Although previous research had noted that a mud cave yielded more burned and fragmented bones, and that both sites featured animals like mountain gazelles and fallow deer in their diets, this study also uncovered intriguing nuances. For instance, bones from larger creatures, such as aurochs, were more prevalent in Kebara cave. Jalan posits that this might be due to sampling differences, perhaps bones were easier to discern at Kebara, or maybe Neanderthals at a mud processed these larger animals at other locations. A detailed investigation of the cut marks on 43 samples from Amud and 34 from Kebara revealed notable variations. While some differences could be attributed to the type of animal or specific body parts being butchered, not all discrepancies were so easily explained. Jalan comments, even when focusing solely on the gazelle's long bones, we observed a higher density of cut marks in Amud. There were more intersecting cuts, and a predominance of curved over straight incisions. The study offers several possible explanations. Perhaps distinct Neanderthal groups had their own learned techniques for butchering, or variations in team size, or even the state of the meat's decay at the time of processing influenced these patterns. In Jalan's words, it might be a matter of differing food preferences leading to various preparation methods, or simply contrasting approaches in how the art of butchering was passed down. Dr. Matt Pope from University College London, who was not part of the study team, highlighted that these observations add weight to the argument that different Neanderthal groups had their own unique toolmaking and usage styles. He remarked, "These cut marks aren't merely scratches on bone, they represent the very gestures and motions of Neanderthals, much like footprints or hand marks in a cave." Looking forward, future research will be key in determining whether these differences stemmed from learned behavior or situational variables. But as it stands, the study is a powerful reminder that Neanderthal culture was far from monolithic. It challenges us to reconsider the diversity of life among our ancient relatives. Do you agree that these findings paint a picture of rich, nuanced cultures? Or do you see alternative interpretations? Share your thoughts.